Hello, my wonderful viewers and subscribers. Once again on Marriage Without Tears channel, I am Felix Okeke, your marriage counselor and coach. Tonight on Marriage Without Tears, we are going to be discussing an awesome topic simply titled, The 10 Things Men Should Never Do for Their Wives. 10 of them. I want you to know very well that if you are a man out there who is in marriage and you are doing any of the things we are going to mention, your entire relationship and your personality as a husband, as a father, as the leader of the home will be negatively impacted. That is why this very edition is very important. You ought to sit back and actually listen. 10 things you should never do for your spouse. 10 of them. So listen attentively. Number 1, you should never lose your self-respect. Don't allow your self-respect to be trampled upon. What is self-respect? Self-respect simply means your core, the core of your being. It simply means your uniqueness as an individual. It simply means what makes you you. You know, there is a value, there is a self-worth inside of you. There is a glory that God has given you. That is why you are different from the rest of humanity. There is an essence inside of you. Possibly that is what attracted that woman to you in the first place. So don't allow that essence to be trampled upon. Don't lose it as because you want to pander to the whims and caprices of your wife. I have seen so many men who lost their self-respect as a result of doubts, criticisms, as a result of all manner of nitpicking, as a result of your spouse not valuing what you have. I have seen a lot of men lose their self-respect in the process. I've seen a lot of men whose self-respect were trampled upon. For instance, I got to a home one day, and as I was trying to, interact with the couple, the wife just told the husband, John, please go downstairs and wash those cars for me. I want to use it by 5 p.m. in the evening. I felt a tug of emotion inside of me, because this is the husband of the home. This is the man of the house. And is being ordered about without any atom of respect, without any atom of, it can be very ugly. So this is what I'm talking about. When, because of the fact as a man, you want to make your wife happy, you want to get her to the certain level of so that she approves you, so that she validates you, you end up selling your self-respect. It ought not to be, because when that is done, your entire essence as a human being is gone, and your leadership is negatively impacted as a husband, as a father. So don't lose your self-respect at the altar of the relationship. Very important. Self-respect is very important in the life of any human being, especially the man who is going to be the leader of a home. Self-respect. You must not, as a woman, undermine it, and the man, as a man, of course, should not allow his self-respect to be trampled upon. So many men, because they want to give of themselves to their spouses, because they want to make the woman happy, because they want the validation of their spouses, end up yielding to their whims and caprices. Before you realize it, the man has become enslaved emotionally, enslaved physically, enslaved psychologically, and then he loses the core essence of what makes him a man. At that point in time, he has lost it in the place of leadership. So that's why I'm saying, don't allow your self-respect to be trampled upon as a man. It's very important if you must be the leader of that home. Very important. The second thing also that I want to say is in the area of dropping your visions and your aspirations because you got married. No, I've seen so many men do it. Your vision is God-given. It's inner inspired. It's a deposit in you. It is the reason for your being. That is why you were sent to the earth, to fulfill a vision. And that woman came into that marriage to enable you fulfill that vision, because two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. That is why that woman is in that relationship, to add her own essence as a woman so that you can fulfill the vision that God has given you to do. So it is an aberration for a man who, because of marriage, decides to drop his vision and begin to get ordered about, or begin to follow the counsel of others, or even his wife, because at that point in time, when you drop your vision, you are no longer the leader of that home. You are no longer providing leadership. So that is the thing. Every woman that is coming into the marriage must try as much as possible to find out what the visions and the dreams of the would-be husband is. And if you're already in marriage and you discover that your husband is stuttering here and there, is not specific, you guys need to sit down so that the man will help to regurgitate his vision, to revitalize it, and begin to work on that vision, because you as a woman, you are in that marriage to help him to fulfill it. So as a man, don't drop your vision on the altar of marriage. Rather, find a way of making whatever your wife has to be an addition that will help you to fulfill that grand vision. It's very important. Very, very important. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so immediately. This is a red button by my side. Once you click on this red button, you get subscribed and become part of this awesome channel. The third thing I want to also talk about is in the area of red flags in your marriage. What do we mean by red flags? Anytime you notice that there is something that was not happening before that has begun to happen, a negative trend that simply found its way into your marriage, at that point when it started happening, just take note of that and begin to deal with it. Don't sweep it under the carpet. Anytime you notice that there are some certain attitudes from your wife or even from yourself that is impacting that relationship negatively, you need to sit back and begin to tackle it before it becomes a mountain that is too difficult to uproot. So that is what I mean by, never ignoring the red flags in your marriage. Sometimes a woman that used to serve you so conveniently, that used to pander to your needs, suddenly becomes very critic, becomes very annoying, or possibly even in your own side, from whatever reason, you drop all the love and everything you have been showing to the woman and become suddenly controlling. The entire relationship becomes toxic. And this thing never started from day one. It started at a certain point in your relationship. At that point it started, please look deeper. If you find that your relationship has suddenly become toxic, begin to uncover what actually transpired. It may be because of a relationship which you got yourself hooked into that made you begin to neglect your wife. Or it may be because your wife has become so engrossed in her work or in her career to the detriment of the home, and suddenly you are becoming resentful. It may be any of these things. It may be somehow because your wife is buying the heart of your children, and somehow, directly or indirectly, you are resenting such a transaction. You are beginning to feel bad on the inside. You must begin to uncover why these things are happening. I have discovered that most toxic relationships started very well in the beginning. They had a glorious relationship in the beginning, but over the process of time, something happened, and maybe the couple didn't take note until the taproot of such a negative trend was buried deep inside of their relationship. So as a man and as the leader of the home, when you discover that some certain events has begun to happen in your marriage, please take note of that and begin to deal with that. Don't neglect red flags in your relationship. That is the third one I want to mention. The fourth one I also want to mention is, please, for whatever it takes, don't allow your wife to begin to denigrate your parents. Very, very important as a man. I have seen it happen so many times. Let me tell you, as a man that got married or that woman found attractive to call her husband, somebody made investments in you. Somebody possibly sold her wrappers. Somebody possibly went hungry. Somebody possibly forfeited some certain things in order to bring you to that level of life that you are now. And those are your parents. They did all manner of things to see to your welfare. You didn't develop over time into what you have become. Somebody invested down the line, and then these things happen until you were maybe in your late 20s or early 30s, and then you brought a woman inside of your life as a wife. Don't allow that wife to begin to trample upon your parents. It's very, very destructive. It's a negative trend. Anytime you discover that your wife has started saying some ugly things about your father or mother, or even about your siblings, please call her to order. Let her know that every person has her own negative side and positive side. Your parents may have done one or two things negative, but that does not mean that they should not be honored. Every parent deserves honor, even her own parents. And when also you discover that you have begun to cast aspersions on her own parents, please hold yourself, because you are marrying their daughter, and for whatever is worth, they have not committed an offense for giving their daughter to you in marriage. So hold yourself. Don't allow yourselves as couples to begin to denigrate your parents or begin to cast aspersions on your parents. Hold yourself. Whether it is her that is casting aspersions on your own parents, or whether it is you that have gone out of the line to cast aspersions on your in-laws, but please hold yourself. It should not be so. Parents must be respected. Parents must be treasured. Parents must be invested upon. I mean, it is a return. You are a return on their investment. Don't allow them to begin to regret all the investments they made on you in the first place. Very, very important. I want you to take this counsel to heart. The fifth one I want to say is, never as a man, in the process of loving your spouse, forget about loving yourself. Very, very important. A whole lot of men have done this. They love their spouse. Nobody says you should not love your wife. You should love your wife as much as you can. You should love your children as much as you can. But also take a look at yourself. Try to love yourself. As you are trying to improve her life, getting her to the level where you can be proud of her, please also improve your own life. It's very, very important. Because when you fail to improve your life, a time may come, being a woman and a human being, she begins to look down on you, because it appears as if there has been a progression. She may not remember that you are actually the one that invested in her to become what she has become, but she begins to look down on you. I will give you an example. I once had a businessman, a wonderful friend of mine. He spent so much in marrying his wife, who was simply a school certificate holder. And then the woman wanted to further her education. The man said, okay, you can go forward. And the man sponsored her to the university. She attended University of Nigeria, Nsukka, did very well, graduated in mathematics. And after graduation, she did her youth service. Then there was no job. And she told the man, if I can only but see something I can do, like running a school. The man said, wow, do you want to run a school? He said, yes. The man brought out the money and they opened a very mighty school. And suddenly, this woman became the proprietor of the school. She ran the school wonderfully well, to the extent that after about 3 years, the school was getting a whole lot of students from everywhere. The school became a very big enterprise. But somewhere down the line, as the school was making progress, the man's business was going down. It came at a point that the man lost out totally in business. Now he came home and began to walk around his premises, not knowing what to do, where else to go. Every financial institution he went to were not ready to borrow him or to lend him money, and he was becoming somehow frustrated. And this woman has become very big. Their school has become very mighty. Do you know that at every point in time that visiting dignitaries are coming to that school, the woman is very, very, she doesn't want to invite her husband to be part of the job. She will hide her husband. At a point in time, the man became frustrated. To cut a long story short, they ended up with a divorce. And the man lost even the school in the process, because everybody around knew that the school belonged to the woman. They never knew that the man was was the financier underneath. So what am I talking about? The man did not improve on himself while he was busy improving on the spouse. You need to improve on yourself. You need to go for marriage seminars. You need to go for business seminars if you are a business person. You need to find out how to link up with people that are positively minded. You need to work on yourself. You need to improve on yourself. You need to do whatever you can to become an elevated, symbol of what your wife is or what your wife is becoming. Don't end up working on your wife so much that she has given you a whole gap. I'm giving you this counsel out of experience and out of my personal training. Please work on yourself. While you are loving your spouse, love yourself. While you are supporting your spouse, support yourself. While you are improving your spouse, improve on yourself, so that you can grow together as one. Very, very important. I want you to note that. The sixth one I want to tell you right now is that you must not love your wife to the detriment of yourself. You must not love her in a manner that puts you in danger. Let me spell it out. I have seen men who love their spouses so much that in trying to buy her a car, they decided to steal money from the office. They went into all manner of corruption in order to buy her a car, in order to buy her a house, in order to send her on a shopping trip to Dubai, in order to do one thing or the other. They ended up doing things that was far below their value and their principle as individuals. Love enslaved them to the level whereby they became a prey and a victim of love. They can't do this thing to another person. They cannot do this for another person. They cannot do it for their parents. They cannot do it for their sisters or brothers. But they can go all out to die for the ones they love. And I mean, that is a terrible way to die, when you have to steal in order to pander to the whims and caprices of one lazy woman out there. No, it ought not to be so. So, while you are busy loving your wife, don't love her to the expense, to the detriment of your personal well-being, to the detriment of your vision, to the detriment of your principles and values as a person. Don't throw that to the dustbin in the process of loving your wife. That is the sixth thing that a man should never do for his wife. The seventh one, don't ever tolerate disrespect to your person. Anytime you begin to tolerate disrespect to your person, your leadership is gone. Anytime you begin to allow the woman to speak to you anyhow in the public, anytime you begin to allow the woman to disrespect you in the midst of your friends, in the midst of your siblings, in the midst of people who respect you, anytime you allow the woman to trample upon your dignity as an individual by tongue lashing you in public, then your leadership is gone. I can tell you that. Don't allow disrespect to your person. I am not encouraging you to use your fist on her. No, that is archaic and that is primitive. It should not be so. You must never, as a sane person, use your physical nature upon your woman. No. But you have there is something you can do. You can take her to the inner chambers of your room. Sit down with her in the early night, in the night, and talk sense into her. Open up to her. Tell her that she is infringing on your personality as an individual. Tell her that you are hurting on the inside because of this negative trend in her attitude, in her character. And if she does not seem to hear you, please look for a married counselor who will be able to sit down with both of you and dissect what the problems are. It's very important. And if she still cannot hear you, please, I also want you to get outside there and look for people she treasures, people that she can listen to, people whose counsel she treasures. It can be her parents, it can be it can be her friend, it can be anybody, but whoever she can listen to her counsel, please reach out to that person. Because if you continue to allow disrespect to your person, it will give rise to other forms of disrespect. I have seen people who tell themselves, oh, she's just in her bad mood. Oh, she will change with time. Oh, don't worry, I forget about it. She can change. Don't worry. And as you are saying that, it is becoming worse on a daily basis. And before you realize it, you will not know when anger will get ripened inside of you, and you begin to trade blows with her. It should not be so. When you discover that disrespect has sounded into your relationship, please open up to her. Talk about it. Don't yell. Yelling is not the way of getting at her. Calmly, as an individual, talk to her. And if she can't hear, go for people she treasures. Go to her support network. Explain things to them. Go to her pastor. Go to her reverend father. Go to her imam. Go to her spiritual mentor. Go to any person that she bows down to spiritually. Open up to that vessel. And I can tell you that there will be positive results. Very, very important. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel or liking my channel, please do so now. I just give us 30 seconds. This red button, once you click on it, you get subscribed and you become part of this channel. I want us to be doing this thing together, and you also encourage me anytime I see subscribers coming into the program or into the channel, I feel joyful on the inside. It tells me that somebody is attentive to some of the things we are doing. And I will bless God if you actually click this button for me right now. Click it and become a subscriber. Number 8 I want to mention right now is that you should not try to change who you are, especially if who you are is positive. I will repeat that. Don't ever try to change who you are, especially if who you are is very positive. Many people in the process of trying to love their wife lose themselves, lose the essence of who they are, because they want to become the expectation of someone. No, you should not be the expectation of someone. Be the expectation of who God wants you to be. That is better. And if who you are is positive, if you are honest, if you are diligent, if you are hardworking, if you are good in whatever you are doing, if for whatever reason you are faithful to the core, if you are a happy-go-lucky person, if you are somebody who enjoys helping others, if you are any of these things, please do that with joy. Do that with joy. Don't allow yourself to become an opposite of who you are due to somebody's comment. No. Because I'm saying this because I have seen men who were very happy individuals while they were yet single. But in the process of 2 to 3 or 5 years of marriage, they became melancholic. And you cannot really discern what actually happened. It's just the influence of the closest person in their life, who happens to be their spouse. Their influence, a lot of bickering underneath. A lot of bickering. I see people who want to help people before they desire so much to help others. They derive a lot of pleasure in helping others in need. But in the process of time, after a few years of marriage, they became tight-fisted. They became angry and resentful on the inside. I've seen it happen severally. So, and that's that. As a woman too, it is a very negative thing for you. Instead of trying to improve the graces your man has, the values that he treasures, instead of helping to improve on it, he has become worse than when you met him. I mean, it has happened to so many men out there. So don't lose who you are. Don't forget about who you are. Don't drop who you are. Don't try to change who you are, especially if who you are is positive. I want you to take that instruction to heart. Number 9 actually is that you must not be the one making all the sacrifices. Please, as a man, don't be the one making all the sacrifices. Every relationship is the coming together of two wonderful people who have decided to work together to improve upon themselves as individuals and grow together as a couple. Therefore, don't allow yourself to be the one making all the sacrifices. I know sometime in life your wife may not have all it takes, but you can add value to her. You can help her to improve what she has. You know, you can put her in business. You can help her to be quickened in her career. You can do a lot of things to improve on your spouse. But let there be a place where your spouse is contributing something to the suffering cause. You know, to the commonwealth. There must be an area of contribution. There must be an area of personal sacrifice from our own side. Because I have seen men who said, I will not allow my wife to go out there and work. I want her to be full housewife. Very well, that can be wonderful. But let me pitch you a little bit. What happens if they look for you tomorrow and they don't find you? Will that woman be able to run your household in your absence? Because men have died leaving their spouses. Men have gone to prison leaving their spouses. Men have gone to search for greener pastures abroad leaving their spouses. If that woman is left like that, will she be able to cater for your children and for the rest of the family? The answer is no if you are the one making all the sacrifices. So allow her to be able to make her own sacrifices. Nobody says that the whole thing has to be divided 50-50. No, it can be 70-30. It can even be 20-80. It can even be 30-70. It can be so. Whatever you design that is okay for you is right by itself. But let there be a place where she also invests in the commonwealth. As you are bringing in and she's bringing in, you will see the family, the joy and the excitement in the family begin to grow. And also, please, as a man also, don't also allow her to be the one making all the sacrifices. Because I have seen men who, even though they don't have a job, instead of going out to look for a job, they go and sit under a mango tree playing draft, waiting for when the next meal will come from their spouses. It is terrible for a man to do so. So don't be the one making all the sacrifices, and don't allow her to be the one making all the sacrifices. I don't know whether you actually enjoy this edition, because I'm going to give you number 10. And once I give you number 10, I sign off. As a man out there, my number 10 is, don't ever be in your marriage out of fear. Don't stay in that marriage out of fear. Anytime you discover that the spirit of fear has entered you, please call the attention of your wife and discuss the matter. I see so many men, they go out to work, and as they are coming back to the house, the same home where they go to, and they find warm embrace at the other side of the door, instead of getting to their home out of fear, they divert, go to the beer parlor and soak themselves with beer, and then they come back to their house full of alcohol. I see so many men who ended up in another relationship because they were afraid of what they were going to meet at home. They have turned their wife into this terrible monster. And that woman was not a monster before she married you. But over the process of time, out of frustration, out of disappointments, and out of all the reproaches and shame she has suffered, she became somebody else. And then you are now running away from her. You are in that marriage out of fear. Please, it should not be so. Sit down with her. She's still accessible. As long as you are living together, your wife is still accessible. So don't tremble. Don't become a prey or a victim of fear in your own home. You are the master of that home after God. You are the master of that home. You are the leader of that home. So don't begin to dodge your responsibilities to your wife, to your children, and begin to scamper away out of fear. It must not be so. And if you can only do these 10 things, if you can avoid doing these 10 things, your marriage will be glorious indeed. I look forward to seeing you next week, my dear friends. It has been such an awesome time. But before you check out, please click on this red button, get subscribed, and be part of this channel. God bless you, and have a nice weekend.